What's up, guys, and welcome to my new channel. In this installment of The Wrestling Writer, we are going to be taking a look at the WWE in 2013. We're going to be looking at some of the match cards and storylines that were developing around that time, and we're going to be rewriting and keeping some of them in hopes that we can make better overall stories. Before I get into the rewriting the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber, I do have a few ground rules for all of these rewriting videos that I'll make in the future. First one is that I want to stick with the broader storyline direction of the WWE. I don't want to go in a completely different direction. For example, in 2013, if you remember, the WWE unified the titles in a match with Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. I want to keep that sort of thing the same. I want title unifications, general huge storylines to stay the same. I just hope to make kind of some small changes to make a better overall story. One other rule that I want to follow is that I want the NXT call-up, injury, and WWE superstars who are leaving, I want those timelines to stay the same, just so that it's fair and challenging for me as a writer. So, for example, CM Punk, who left in early 2014, I want to keep that timeline, that event the same, regardless of how I book the stories. Last few little rules that I think I want to follow is that I want to keep the same titles around, so any new titles that are either gotten rid of throughout the timeline or are created, I want to keep that the same. And then lastly, I want to keep the number of matches per pay-per-view the same. I think maybe I'll make a rule where I can go less matches, but I don't want to have the ability to add more matches than there was on any given pay-per-view. And with all those rules out of the way, let's get into the rewrite, starting with the Royal Rumble 2013. Now, this might surprise some of you, but I would actually keep most of this card the exact same, with only a few small changes. So, just like in real life, the first match of the show would be Cesaro defending the United States Championship against The Miz. At this time, The Miz was actually a babyface, believe it or not, and that storyline never really went anywhere. It didn't really work, but I do have, hopefully, some interesting plans for that. But I would keep this the same. I would start to tell this story of The Miz, who's now become a good guy, just continually coming up short and not being able to get it done. So, just like in real life, Cesaro defeats The Miz to retain his United States Championship. The next match on the show would be Alberto Del Rio defeating The Big Show in a last man standing match. In real life, again, similar to The Miz, Alberto Del Rio was a babyface, and in this situation, I don't agree with that at all. I don't think Alberto Del Rio would ever work as a babyface, so I would keep him heel in this timeline, which also makes the finish of this match make a lot more sense, where Ricardo Rodriguez interfered and taped Big Show's legs to the ring for the count of 10 because this was a last man standing match. So you can keep that same finish with Del Rio retaining. I would say maybe you could change it to make it a little bit more interesting, but either way, I would have Ricardo Rodriguez interfere and help Del Rio retain his championship. The next match on this card, I would also keep the same, and that would be Team Hell No successfully defending their tag team championships against Team Rhodes Scholars. This was a good, fun little match in real life that showcased some good tag team talent. So I would keep that the same. Next up is the Royal Rumble match. I recently rewatched this, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed this match. I thought it was a great Royal Rumble match. And in this rewrite, I would keep it the same and have John Cena still win the Royal Rumble and go on to face the world champion at WrestleMania. Only a few small changes I would make is that maybe instead of having Ryback be the last one remaining with John Cena, maybe make it Sheamus or Chris Jericho. One, just to make it more believable that one of them could win as a main eventer. I know Ryback was hot at that time, but I still feel like that would have been a hard time for fans to believe that he could actually win. Also, the fans were actually cheering Ryback quite a bit in that final two. So I think to make them more behind Cena, maybe have somebody like Sheamus in that spot who they weren't quite as hot for at the time as Ryback. Other than that, one final small change I would make is to add in the Shield to that Royal Rumble. They weren't in it originally, and I think that would be a great addition just to add some more star power to the match. Then lastly, the main event of the show, we have The Rock taking on CM Punk for the WWE Championship. And I would keep this the same as well. I know a lot of people were upset with CM Punk losing, but for the broader overall story that I want to tell and that WWE wanted to tell at the time, I think it's better for The Rock to win. This was actually an incredible match, really underrated match in my opinion, so I wouldn't change anything about the match itself. And I know you might be thinking now that really there's no changes being made and I'm just going over the Royal Rumble card, but I promise right here in a second when I get to the Elimination Chamber, we'll start to see some more changes. So now getting into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, I would keep the pre-show match the same. It was Team Road Scholars beating Tons of Funk. Only I would change the winner actually, and I would have Team Road Scholars win because I think kind of getting some momentum behind them. They were a great team, would be beneficial. So keep that pre-show little match the same. And then the opening match of the card would be Alberto Del Rio defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Randy Orton. In real life, this was a rematch against the Big Show, but for the story I want to tell for the World Heavyweight Championship, I would have this be a match in a feud against Randy Orton instead. And once again, I would have Alberto Del Rio retain, just like he did in real life, although it would once again be a result of Ricardo Rodriguez interfering and helping him win. He would either hit Randy Orton with the title or with a low blow, causing Del Rio to be able to roll him up for the win. And after the match, I would have Randy Orton viciously attack Ricardo Rodriguez in a rage, and Alberto Del Rio would run away with his title. Next up, I would have Cesaro taking on The Miz for the United States Championship in a rematch for the Royal Rumble. This would be continuing that story of Miz trying to climb the mountain as a good guy for the first time in his career and trying to do it the right way. But once again, he comes up short and he's visibly incredibly frustrated after the match, after Cesaro once again defeats him. Next up would be the Elimination Chamber match. Just like in real life, it would be the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. The participants in this match would be a little bit different. I would go with Sheamus, Mark Henry, Chris Jericho, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, and Kane. So some of the same participants and some that are a little different. But I think this would be a better chamber match, overall more star power, more unpredictable. And in the end, Sheamus would actually win this match. I would probably have him last eliminate Chris Jericho. And also, very importantly during this match, I would have Chris Jericho eliminate Dolph Ziggler. So at the Royal Rumble, they continued their feud, and Dolph Ziggler was the one to eliminate Jericho. So Jericho gets back at him here, and that will continue their feud going into WrestleMania. But in the end, Sheamus is able to overcome all of them and win the Elimination Chamber to secure his title match at WrestleMania. Then we would have a match for the Intercontinental Championship with champion Wade Barrett successfully defending his championship against R-Truth. I wasn't really sure who to put Barrett up against, but I really wanted to get the Intercontinental Championship on the card, so hopefully this would be a fun and entertaining match, because I think R-Truth always is. Next up would be the Shield Triple Threat match, which would be very similar to in real life, just with one different participant. So it'd be the Shield versus John Cena, Ryback, and instead of Sheamus, who's now winning the Elimination Chamber match, it'd be teaming up with the Big Show. I think this would be a great match, just like it was in real life. The Shield would win, and you would have John Cena at the end with a doubtful expression on his face. So I think that makes his story heading into WrestleMania very interesting. I like how they did that, just making it more rocky, a lot more road bumps on the road to WrestleMania. Then we would have a Divas Championship match between Caitlyn and Tamina. The women's wrestling situation in WWE at the time wasn't great, but both of these people were, in my opinion, really good workers actually, and I think they could have had a decent match if they were just given even just a few extra minutes. Then the main event of the show, just like in real life, would be the rematch with The Rock coming in as champion, defending it against CM Punk. I think this match was also very good. I think it was also a very underrated match, and I would keep the result the same with The Rock retaining heading into WrestleMania. With the end of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, that brings me to the end of this particular rewrite. There weren't a whole lot of changes for this particular rewrite, but for the next one, which will be WrestleMania 29, keep on the lookout for that. We will see quite a few more changes that will hopefully enhance the story overall quite a bit. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one.